we're here. We're back. We're here to talk about life. In this illusion, in this matrix. We're here to discuss how we might be able to master our existence. Since we already know that life starts with knowing what you want. We've talked about that. So we need to know what we want. And then achieving that we want is simple. So we know what we want. Now we know how to go get it. We know where it is. We know what it looks like. We know what it feels like. It's familiar. So it's easy to go after. It's easy to go attain. Easy to go achieve. This is within the illusion, the construct of doing. So we can master the illusion by first figuring out what we want. What is it that you want? You're here on this channel, so there's part of you that wants what we're speaking about. To not be bound to the illusion or caught up in the illusion and limited in our expression. So we want to be able to express ourselves in a free, unlimited way. We want to be able to simply do or be what we want, when we want, where we want. We want to be free to be without limits. Burdening us down. Causing heavy weight, putting like rocks in a backpack and carrying it. So part of you may not know exactly what you want, but once you're able to get the message to me, if there's something specific that you want, then we'll address that specific detail either on a one-on-one or on a Zoom meeting, or I'll create a video dedicated to your question or how to attain something within the illusion. This is within the illusion. This is where all the activity takes place. Sometimes when we're plugged into this illusion and when we're plugged into this matrix, we're not, the veil is not been torn. The egg has not been cracked. And so it seems very foreign to talk about detaching yourself or becoming one with Source or becoming one with God, and we don't become, we just unfold, we just recognize what we already are. But it seems like if we let this construct go, this illusory construct of life that we know, that we'll fall into some kind of abyss or not be able to function, or I don't really know how to put it, but we're really within a comfort zone within the illusion. It's so comfortable, anything outside of it, any ulterior perception or any, that's why we're so caught up in the separateness of us and the world, or us and other people, or us and God. We really have come to live with this perception of separateness, which goes along with birth and death. We've come to live and to accept and to build within our own character, externally, within the illusion, the manifestation of these thoughts about death and about being separate. So the further we observe ourselves to be separate, the more we can confirm that separateness. The illusion manifests itself as being real. And the more we focus on it, the more real it seems, or the more comfortable that we seem to be within it. And so it's not very easy to move out of that comfort zone, because the moving out of that comfort zone requires you to step into an unknown. It requires you to step into this unknown that only you can step into. No one else can step into it for you. So no one else can let go for you. No one else can unfold your own truism. No one else can unfold the Christ within for you. You have to actually let go, and not even let go, but you have to recognize the ego to be what it is, and the mind not to be separate. And you have to recognize your divinity. You have to start from there. That's where it starts, where you begin to step into the unknown, or step out of the illusion. And at first it's just moments, and then minutes, and then hours, and then more hours, and then days, and then weeks and months, and intermittent. It's intermittent in a way through the process. So we have this feeling of unity, we recognize truth, we come into our own, we drop the illusion, we see through the veil. The egg is about to crack, or it's cracking. The veil is getting torn, and we're able to see through a little bit and experience the unknown. And it feels good. But this is how we learn, by going through the process of stepping out of the illusion, stepping into our unity, and living within that unity as much as we can for as long as we can. Giving life to that new perspective, giving life to that new perception, giving life to that new thought. It's just a thought right now. Everything's a thought until we move beyond thought. But we haven't moved beyond thought, so it's still a thought, but it's the right thought. This thought of unity, this thought of oneness, this thought of not being separate, this thought of being divine, this thought of being unlimited, this thought of being connected to Source directly, being Source itself. This thought we ask that you take on. And as you take it on, and as you sit within this thought, and move within this thought, and rest within this thought, and find your stillness within this thought, more and more you'll be able to move out of the illusion and unplug yourself for periods of time from this matrix. And it's only natural that we slip back into the matrix, or slip back into our old comfort zone, because that's what we're used to. That's how we grew up. Our whole lives, that's all we've known. So it's a process of living, feeling, experiencing, and allowing, surrendering, and accepting that there's no will outside of God. Coming to that hard, cold fact that there is no will outside of God's will, which means that your own will never did exist. You could never have been operating outside of God. It's an impossibility. Nothing but God exists. This is a hard, cold fact. This is an absolute. This is a unchangeable truth. And so as we go through this process of finding ourselves, sitting with ourselves, and allowing ourselves to begin this birth, if you will, this new perception, this new thought, allowing the birth to have its way, for the chick to grow within this thought of unity. And we stay within this thought. We take on the characteristics of this thought because it's just more thought, so we take on the characteristics. We take on the peace. We understand now that peace can be found only when we are at one with that which is, with Source, with God. True peace that's not bound up by any happening. And this is the beginning process, to unplug yourself from the matrix, to slowly and assuredly begin to see the ego for what it is and yourself for what you are, your divine self, your divine mind, your divine heart, your divine being, your divine direct, absolute connection. There's no one to mediate for you. There's no third party involved. The Christ is risen. The Christ has come. Where Jesus Christ used to stand for you and receive your prayers and offer you a personal touch. The personal touch that we also desire. And took care of you. And has brought you to a point where the Christ within yourself is rising. And has brought you to a point where the Christ within you has come back to its original state. And it wasn't really even a coming back, but the Christ, Jesus Christ, is helping you to see that there was never any separation, that you were never ever separate from your Father, that you were never ever separate from God, that you and God have always been one. And so the Christ within you rises. And when this Christ rises, you're able to move into this unity with understanding, where the unknown that we were moving into before because of being plugged into the matrix and because we were stuck within this illusion, but yet wanting to get out of it and now trying to step into this unknown perception that we're not used to, where it's not our comfort zone. Well, now this unknown starts to slowly become our comfort zone. We start to realize the truth of things. We start to see through the veil, see through the ego, realize our own, and it becomes a new comfort zone, a new perspective, a new way to see things, a new thought. It becomes part of our character, our being. It becomes part of who we are. Because we rest within it. Now, this new perspective, this new being, and it's not a new being, but this revealing, this unfolding, this you that's always been there, this direct connection, this divine self, now can live. What does it mean to live the Christ? You see through the paradox. You see through all paradoxes. You realize that if you yourself are this Christ, and this Christ has risen within you, then every other person on the face of this earth is as you, this Christ. You see through the other to yourself. Now, you don't do anything outside of your own character that would impede on anyone else's, the apparent other, their life. That's you. And so because we know that it is the Christ, we clean the toilet seat before we leave the bathroom. We use water and soap. We do the best that we can. We clean it up. We don't leave it a mess for another that is no other but yourself. We open the door for ourselves. We greet ourself. We love ourself. We love the other. We love the other because the other is none other than ourself. We lay our life down for the other because the other is ourself. The last bite of bread does not get eaten by you. You don't eat until everyone has eaten. But there is plenty to go around. But it's the little things that we do that help us to see through the illusion and to see from a pair of glasses that are divine. To see out from God and not up to God. To see God in everything. To see God in all things and in all people and in all animals, in all past and in all future, and in all, whether it be AI or human beings or aliens. This is God, all of it. The Anunnaki, the Palladians, this is God, all of it. Their stories. The illusion itself is immense. It's an abyss. Unlimited amount of modes and modalities. An unlimited amount of seeking. An unlimited amount of mastering principles, laws, manifesting, creating, imagining, dreaming, building, working, serving, doing, and doing, more and more doing. When Jesus fed the multitude, he was within the matrix. He was in the illusion. Jesus Christ's manifested body, the Christ in its manifestation of Jesus, was Source loving on itself, moving into the illusion to give a personal touch and to point to Source. To say, hey, you are. Hey there, you are. Jesus Christ was a face to that which is, to help you to see that you are none other than exactly what he was pointing to. And so it's crazy amazing. It's so free. It's so freeing. It's freeness at its freest, at its freestness. It's so awesome. So free. No more limits. You're no longer bound. You're not affected when somebody offends you. When there's a storm, you're calm. That's when it counts, right? When everything's going well and you're calm, well, that's a great place to start. Allow yourself to get shaken up a bit. And be unaffected. These are some benefits of the freedom. You can do anything you want. You know you can't fail. You know you're divine. There's no failure. Failure doesn't exist. You're free. No one to look at you, no one to judge you, no one to critique you, no one to tell you what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, how you should do it, when you should do it, where you should do it, and why you shouldn't do it in a particular way. You're free. You're free from all that. There is no other. Part of what zaps your freedom is seeing others as others. Part of what zaps your freedom is the whole idea of other people being other people separate from you. Therefore, you adopt an attitude of fear. They have more than you, they're better than you, they're more qualified, they're worthy or not. The record keeps going over and over and over. And it keeps you in a state of apathy, where you're just not moving. You're really just hibernating. You're just doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting different results. And that's what we call insanity. So there's a brotherhood. There's a really beautiful brotherhood of men and women that have made this connection. Jesus Christ, the best example there is. But there's a whole brotherhood of men and women that understand what it means to be in this unity, to see through the eye, the single eye, to see with the inner eye, to hear with the inner ears, to speak with the inner voice, to read energy, to feel life. There's a whole brotherhood of men and women that give back, that are empty, dead to self, serving and giving back to the illusion, to the matrix, unplugging people. Men and women with the best character this world has to offer. Character that you have not really ever been around much in a direct experience. Like Martin Luther King. This kind of character. They're out pointing to this unity. They're out serving humanity as you know it. They're out expressing love, one with God. When I was younger, my dad, without any consciousness of his own, or at least I was unaware of his own knowledge, or his own understanding, and he wasn't able to communicate anything to me very much. But one thing he did communicate to me, he made me sit still. And I kept wanting to speak, and I kept saying, but you don't understand. I had something to say. I wanted to say what I wanted to say first, before I sat still. But he didn't let me. And he made me sit still for a while. And I think I learned more from that than I learned in all the books I ever read. So as I began to read books and go inward to find this unity, I remembered. I heard other authors and people tell me, other parents, so-called other people say, be still, son. The Bible. Be still. Sit still. And it came back to me. And so I would sit still. And I started to become conscious of this unity. I gotta go. I love you guys so much. This is just one video about how to move into this unity. I hope it was helpful. I hope you understood it. I'll be continuing to talk about how to move into this unity and how to avoid the pitfalls of the illusion. Love you all. Peace. One. GEO. What's up, GEO? Expressing God. Oh, yeah, baby. What's up, GEO? Love you, man.